Young ladies and gentlemen, hello everyone, or good evening. Welcome to this new geopolitical conference dedicated to world news. In the headlines of international news, power in Cameroon is beginning to have insomnia. Power really does have insomnia following this statement that was made by the opponent, let's put it that way, Issa, who had declared himself the winner, who had proclaimed himself the winner at the presidential election, I think it was October 12th, 2025. Tiroma today, we don't really know not where he is. Some say he has left the country, which he would have done. Others say many things, but he himself said that he was escorted by the military. He is in an area security. So, from his hiding place, let's say, thus, since the government he is looking for, he is trying to proceed with his arrest. That's very clear. It must be said that many of these companions were arrested according to reports that we receive after the demonstrations led to something 48 people who were sent to eternal rest, and then more than 200 who were arrested. So the arrest of these activists and sympathizers made very badly in Issa, and that's why Issa gave the regime a 48-hour deadline, Paul Biya. 48 hours. It's an ultimatum. So young ladies and gentlemen, within the framework of this geopolitical conference dedicated to world news, of course, this is the news we are going to talk about. But before continuing, as usually, agree to share the conference at maximum capacity. It needs to be shared in all the groups as much as you can. There you go. You give a lot of likes, and don't forget to leave there are different opinions in the comments. That's what it's about. That's how it is. Must happen. Let's go then. Depths. It must be said that the revolution failed on the part of the Cameroon. They stifled the way the people had wanted. They turned the situation around. They did it. Stifled. And all the more so because even if the demonstrations continued, it was a soldier who was about to take the power. He wasn't going to take the power and to give that power to Issa. This would make things even worse, the situation. So the mobilizations failed, but the chaos continues to persist and continues to rule over Cameroon since the information is consistent that we have evidence to sufficiency that in the coming hours after the ultimatum of Issa, that the situation risks to degenerate. The Cameroonian state itself is preparing for what called a state of emergency. So it's an explosive statement to which Issa has indulged in. He gave him a 48-hour ultimatum given to the regime, and it's a direct challenge, it has to be said. So the leader of the opposition, Cameroonian Issa, therefore gave, according to the information official statement on its page Facebook, he gave a 48-hour ultimatum to government to free all the post-election detainees. Everyone must be freed. If in the 48 hours the government of Paul Biya does not release the detainees. Regarding the elections, what is he going to do? We'll see that later in the depths. Here is what he said. He said, we are no longer in a republic, but in a state-sponsored gangsterism. So to shoot Cameroon is no longer in a republic, but in what it has called state gangsterism. I was going to call it state-sponsored gangsterism. So it's a gang that is in charge of the state Cameroonian, who does whatever is right for him, it seems, and then there it is. So he started this sentence during a press conference held at Garo. That's his base, within his base northern politics, even before to comment on, obviously, the meta. So the immediate context, these are the post-election tensions. Many have been arrested, whether at Douala, whether in Yaoundé, whether in Bafoussam or in Maroua, many of these supporters were arrested. You know, when you request the departure of a regime, when you want to overthrow a regime and that you are unable to make it overturn the regime, then the regime will proceed to settling of scores. Today, Issa and his supporters are in the process to witness these settling of scores. So it must be said that the time used by Issa is a tone of total rupture. Teroma is no longer asking for dialogue. He is no longer asking for dialogue. He is threatening. He demands it. And he has warned. He said this. He said, if in 48 hours our brothers are not freed, the people will come out in the street. So here, the hard line he had to draw. That is to say, his political patience gives way to civil confrontation, and we must be very careful. We have the impression that Kairoma prepared himself in another manner. According to many rumors, we're not going to rely on rumors when even so, but we are in Africa. According many unofficial sources, the Tiroma elements reportedly prepared, they would be very well dressed, would be very well ready for a real confrontation with the regime. They're just waiting for Tioman's okay. And so, this is what makes the authorities have fear. It must be said that for the moment, Paul Biya's regime has not made no statement, but state media described the Issa Roma's remarks were provocative. Are the state media saying who described Issa Roma's remarks as provocation? What does that mean in concrete terms? It means to say that the state is being provoked by Tiroma. And so, for the moment, Regime B has mobilized the security apparatus. The forces, special ones, are deployed the moment when I'm speaking to you in Douala, in Yaoundé, and in Bamenda. Checkpoints are being checked. The Northern Road networks. Communication is locked. Independent media are threatened. Social networks are slowed down. International channels like France 24 and BBC and Africa are temporarily cut off. This means that nothing is working anymore until over there on that side from Cameroon. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's the front page news. So please share it as much as possible. I'll get back to you in a bit with some new information, with new shellings. That was, of course, the voice of your humble servant, Robert Théa.